From London to Lake Worth and all points in between, you are tuned in to the Ask Coach Judy show with your host, Judy Romanoff, founder of the National Single Parent Resource Center. With over 28 years of experience of helping executives and individuals to achieve their maximum success, the Ask Coach Judy show is a pay-it-forward show designed to empower one with knowledge for achieving professional and personal success by bringing all types of experts in their related fields. Here is Coach Judy.
Great. Hello, everyone. This is the Ask Coach Judy show. I'm very excited today because I have a special guest that I interviewed many years ago on the Coach Judy radio show. And he is actually known as the reinvention coach or the reinventor guy. And I want to show you his book first, because when I got his book, and I looked at it, I said, by God, it complements what I'm doing, not just for single parents, but for anyone who wants to reach and achieve their goals or need to find their goals and go after so they can enjoy life and be who they want to be from the inside out. Because as we know, when you're happy and doing what you like, it shows all over. And that's what you want people to see. So I'm going to show you his book and also let you know his book is going to be used for our first ever raffle with the Ask Coach Judy show. And what I wanted to let you know is that if you sign up through coachjudy.info website or message me, we will enter you into our raffle through the raffle tickets I have from many years ago. In addition, if you donate $2 to the National Single Parent Resource Center, we will give you another additional ticket. So it's actually like a fundraiser for the award-winning organization, National Single Parent Resource Center. So here is the book that Steve has wrote, and it's phenomenal. And I'm going to read it in case you can't see it well. It says, "What is your what? Discovering the one amazing thing you were born to do." And I can tell you, I've learned it, and it's why it's so exciting to be able to share it with others. I now would like to welcome the reinvention guy who has taken his career into many different paths and being successful. Besides his book on the profits of the internet, I believe was a past book, and working on to help those achieve incomes of 6 to 7 figure incomes, what it is that you want to do. Our guest, Steve Olsher. For those who have not heard of him, I'd like to welcome the great Steve Olsher, the reinvention guy.
Thank you, Judy. Appreciate you having me on.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I'd like you to share with our listeners, because those may be new, what is it that sets you off on your journey to be known as the reinvention guy?
Well, it's been a lifelong process of reinvention from a very young age, of heading down the path of a teenage entrepreneur and opening my own nightclub when I was really young, to DJing in clubs and many different places, and eventually got into catalogs and .coms and real estate, and now more recently with speaking and coaching and podcasting and launching podcast magazine here. So just lots of different iterations of my career over the years, and just really felt like as I began traveling as much as I have over the years now, that there were many people who were in need of figuring out a way in which to really reinvent their lives. And so that's really what led me to creating the What Is Your What framework that you mentioned, which really does help people identify, discover, share, monetize that one amazing thing they were born to do.
Well, okay, then can you give our listeners, and we're also live on Facebook, what are some tips that they can kind of direct their mind to get into that direction, and also understand that what you're doing now doesn't mean you have to stay with it if it's not what you're enjoying, and there's really opportunities out there?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I think first and foremost, it begins with just making the decision that you want to actually change your life, or you want to discover how you're naturally wired to excel and what really puts fire in your soul. So, that truly is decision number one. And once you make that decision, it's really hard to turn the light switch off until you really figure out what it is that you were meant and made to do. So tips, I mean, I would simply say, first and foremost, again, just make that decision to turn on the light switch and figure out what it is. Second, really commit to staying the path until you figure it out. And then third, be willing, as you said, to move in different directions as life dictates. Reality is things happen. As my friend Brennan Burchard says, something new either comes into your life or something new comes out of you at various points of our lives. And so you just have to be willing and ready to embrace whatever those changes are, knowing that your core gift in terms of how you're naturally wired to excel is really something that will stay with you throughout your entire life.
Well, and would you say that also, because my career and my passion, which really was when I was a child and teenager, not realizing what it was, is that when you go through a difficult time, it can really be an opportunity of really rediscovering who you really are as a person and going after it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter of really recognizing that things happen for you and not to you, and that's a really tough lesson to learn, especially when you're in the middle of it and going through a really hard time. But the truth is, for most of us, once we get past whatever that pain is, as we look back, we can really see what that core lesson was that we had to learn in order to evolve, in order to become who we were truly meant to be.
Well, that is so true. And I think people are so caught up and so closed off. And especially if they've gone through these challenges, they think to some degree things are never going to get better. But if you take your philosophy, our philosophy about really getting into yourself and really assessing who you are, what makes you tick, what makes you feel good, that can be a direction for you to really go after your dreams or go after and enjoy what you're doing, and that the tools that you learn can apply to any part of your life.
Yeah. And look, reality is, I'm not a big fan of saying, do what you love, and then the money is sure to follow, or
right.
or you need to pursue your passion or anything of that nature. Because the truth is, you could be passionate about doing something, like maybe you love growing tomatoes in your yard, but it doesn't mean that you should become a farmer and have a manufacturing facility that grows and sells tomatoes,
Well,
so
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to bring up, I'm glad you said tomatoes, because I'm going to give an example. If you really love gardening or tomatoes, you don't, as Steve said, you don't have to go out and be a farmer, but you can do something on a small scale that gives you that joy that complements what else you are doing in life.
Yeah. And again, there are hobbies that we love and should continue to be a part of our lives. And then there's how we make a living and where our livelihood comes from. And the two do not always have to be one in the same, and there's no shame in doing what you need to do on a daily basis in order to pay your rent and to, keep the lights on and keep the roof over your head. Right. So I think we've gotten to the point where we're pushing, I believe, a little too hard around this whole lifestyle type of life, right? Where you do what you want, when you want, where you want. And, the honest truth is, not everyone is cracked up and just designed to have a life where there isn't real structure and there isn't
right
work that doesn't necessarily appear glamorous. And what is the problem with delivering mail for 40 years and collecting a nice pension and being able to take good vacations with your family and having health insurance and doing other things you love and having a day job?
And the thing of it is, it's like if it's doing and accomplishing what you want, it's like not being concerned what other people are saying, but what your needs for you and your family or who else is involved in your life is really what's most important, because that will give you balance. What I'd like you to do, because this is also somewhat of our business segment, can you give some tips to businesses that may be listening or will go on demand, that what they need to know to get their business really up and going, some basic tips that maybe they may not think of?
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously, it depends on a million different factors where they are in their business, how long they've been in business, what they do, and so on. But I will simply say that what I teach my clients and what really has been helpful to me is just simply remembering that everything starts with the offer. In other words, gaining real clarity around what it is that you're actually selling and gaining real clarity around the last step on the path that you want someone to take with you if you think about your customer journey. And then really working backwards from there so that every action that you take is aligned with moving your prospects towards making a positive decision that in some cases can be the last step on the path, but oftentimes it's the step before the step before the step before the step. But they've got to get on to that yellow brick road, so to speak, in order to get to whatever that final destination is.
All right, so what you're saying is that everything that you do has to have somewhat of a guidance in reaching that ultimate goal with the customer. And I think you brought something out that I want to kind of make a little bit more specific, is that if you're in sales or in marketing and building your business, knowing that the first time you meet or speak to that person doesn't mean that's when you're going to really sell the person. And I think a lot of people think talking to them once or two times is what's going to close the deal.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly selling is a whole different animal altogether. And ultimately, selling more than anything else is just a transfer of confidence. And it takes some degree of time in order to build that confidence that what you have or who you are reflects the solution to their problems.
Well, you just said something that's really important, is that it's like who you are. It's like people say there's so many insurance agents and financial and so many other businesses that do what I do. It's like, how do I break in and get that market? And people don't realize that people are buying into you and who you are more than the product itself. Although the product has to be important and a need for it, but you're really having to sell yourself and what you can really do in integrity with that first perspective, whether it's in business or whatever it is. That is, would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is, and this is something that's been said a billion times over, but the fact of the matter is that people are going to do business with those they know, like, and trust. And ultimately, they need to know who you are and like who you are and what you stand for, what you believe in, and what the prospect believes that you bring to the table insofar as value is concerned, and then trust that you can deliver upon that promise. So without those pieces in place, it's an uphill battle for sure.
So really what everybody needs to know, whether you're mapping out your life, whether it's business, you really need to understand and work the different steps to get there. It just doesn't happen overnight in regard with anything that you do.
With anything that you do, for sure. I mean, in that boils down to relationships also, right? I mean, just even relationships with your spouse, with your kids, with your parents, whoever it is. I mean, you again, I'm not putting anything out here that hasn't been said a million different ways before, but ultimately you've got to make deposits into those relationships before you can start making withdrawals.
Exactly. Now I want to go a little bit different because we don't have a whole lot of time, and I know you're in with the internet and building. Can you give one or two tips to our listeners how they can best monetize in using the internet and social media? Would you have any tips for them?
I mean, needless to say, with our launching podcast magazine here, I'm a huge proponent of the power of podcasting. And I do believe that as far as lead generation is concerned, as far as attracting your most ideal prospects is concerned, really be hard pressed to find a better channel today than you will through podcasting. And so I'm a huge proponent of everyone, no matter what their business, having a podcast and something that is very specific to what they do. Like, I mean, you said, you do things in insurance and, other industries as well, right? So if you're an insurance agent, I wouldn't do a general business show. I would do a show that's very specific to insurance. And even more so than that, I would do a show that's very specific to a particular type of insurance, like the life insurance show or whatever it is, something very, very specific that you can establish your expertise in and insert yourself into the conversation. So when that topic comes up, people think of you. And of course, there's a million different ways to do that. But ultimately, if people are searching for life insurance, insurance products, et cetera, and you're an insurance agent, how do you differentiate who you are from the millions of others that do exactly the same thing?
Well, I'm glad you said it, because I know when I was starting into radio back in 2002, I actually had a former newscaster wanted to partner up with me, and then things changed. And he said to me, he says, well, how would you feel if I went out and did a single parent show? And it was like, well, go ahead. It was like, you were no threat to me because you are you, I am me, and we have different experience and knowledge. So why not? And so she was like saying, I'm not afraid of my competition out there because of who I am versus who they are.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it just depends on your mentality. I mean, do you come from a place of abundance, or do you come from a place of scarcity? And if you come from a place of abundance, then you know that there's room for all, and the collective pie, if you will expand to be able to feed everyone who's at the table. And that's a very different mentality, a very different approach than someone who views others as their true competition.
Well, I want to bring up one of the things. I've got a fantastic gentleman who's watching the show. I know that a lot of people want to reach 6- and 7-figure incomes. Can you give them 1 or 2 tips from the stage of how they can do that?
So, and you said from stage, but I think what you're asking is there a particular tip
that you're coming from?
Yeah, I would just simply say this, which is what I have found is that most business owners, no matter what business they're in, they struggle to reach 6 or 7 or 8 figures. I mean, we've got a show called Beyond 8 Figures where we only sit down with entrepreneurs who have either exited for more than $10 million or currently gross more than $10 million annually with their businesses. And so what I will tell you, after having done so many interviews for that show and having been an entrepreneur and coached lots of business owners over the years now, I mean, what I can tell you is that the killer of revenue is a lack of focus. And most owners, business owners, solopreneurs, small companies, et cetera, are just trying to do way too much. And if you really just go all in, it's kind of the 80-20 rule. If you really sit back, and even if you're doing, $50,000 in revenue, the 80-20 rule still applies. If you look at where 80% of your revenue is generated, it's probably generated from 20% of your activities. And so if you start digging down and focusing on the 20% of the 20% of the 20%, now you can do a lot less and do a lot more in terms of revenue, because you're highly focused on what is connecting with your prospects and where the most amount of revenue can be attained.
Well, I tell you, Steve, I want to thank you. You've given us some great information on different areas, and I would love to have you back, because I know you work from the heart, you're successful, you care, and I really enjoyed listening and interviewing you to share with our listeners really great information, whether you're an everyday person, you're an entrepreneur, you're very successful, you're a doctor, a lawyer, whatever, you're successful, and you can always learn and grow no matter where you are in life.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on, and thanks for sharing the book, What Is Your What, with your group, and just good to connect again.
Great. And as a matter of fact, for those who are still listening, I'm also let you know that we're bringing on CeCe Shatz. Her specialty, like mine, is also, she is into the single parenting. So Steve, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've really enjoyed having you and look forward down the road to bring you back.
Sounds good. Talk soon.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We are going to be, for those who are watching the show, we are bringing CeCe Shatz back onto the show. As a matter of fact, I was just on her show last Thursday. We're building great relationships, which is kind of like what Steve was talking about, and building relationships because you're both focused and looking to help and benefit one another in achieving business. So I believe I'm going to check with my producer to see if she does have CeCe on the line, so we can bring her back on. Wendy, do you have CeCe?
We are calling her as we speak.
All right, because she is on watching, so she knows the call is coming in. And hopefully the phone that I'm using for Skype, which is one of our products, doesn't go out because it keeps trying to tell me it's losing its power. So CeCe, welcome to the Ask Coach Judy show. I am so glad you're on with us. You've got great information, and I'd like you to share with our listeners who you are and what you're trying to achieve.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your show, and I so appreciate it. Well, I run a group which is called Going Solo Network is my website, and we do many things within that. We connect those that are struggling with relationship loss, and we also help the single parents, men, women, and can you see me okay? I think
yeah, I can see what it is. My phone is the battery's trying to die on me, and I'm trying to conserve it.
Well, I totally get that. I mean, in the world of technology, we just have to kind of shoot from the hip and keep going. So, and that's kind of what we do in divorce, isn't it? We kind of shoot from the hip and we get as much information as we can. And we really try to just spin it around and live the best life that we can. And so that's what I do. I'm the doyenne of relationship building. And we've got a lot of really cool things happening. So I'm excited about. We have a brand new website, which is called Going Solo Next Step. That's our transition from a divorce or relationship loss through to really living your best life. We touch on the transition of dating, establishing yourself as being a single, and just really connecting with other like-minded individuals who are going through the same stuff that we go through, right?
Exactly. And the key thing I want to bring out for those who may know single parents or a single parent that may be listening, because single parents are all over, is that it's the support. Whether it's in business, whether you're a single parent, supporting each other with like-minded people will help you grow. From our other segment, grow your business, grow what your passion is, and achieving success that you want. And you're not worrying about what other people say, but doing what you feel good inside to be who you are and to achieve the goals that you want.
Yes, absolutely. And, it is connecting with other people and really being relatable, understanding that you're not going through that travels by yourself. And then starting doing that, what I call a movement of choice, where you start making decisions and you base that on really education that you find around you. We have good, and again, we have a podcast, we started Going Solo Network, which is WGSN DB Going Solo Network. It started from just a single podcast, and now it's an actual singles talk station. And we're just really thrilled about that. But taking that, really designed or honed in information that helps singles really, I think, makes a world of difference in your recovery. And people ask me, recovery, what do you mean recovery by divorce? Well, divorce is one of the top emotional, almost strangling elements that you go through in life if you've ever gone through divorce. Anybody that's gone through divorce gets it, understands that, and knows that there is a recovery process that you have to go through. But once you get through that, you can start designing a life that you want, which is pretty cool.
Right. You know, so I just want to interrupt. I'm going to let my producer, Wendy, know that we may have to go and cut off on Facebook because my phone is dying quickly. So,
Okay.
okay, so Wendy, should we just go and switch over to Skype with the other account and go on my tablet so we can continue the interview with CeCe?
Yeah, I have some sort of background noise here. I was trying to home in on. I'm there. I think it was also the Skype. I was listening to your show. So, yeah.
Judy, just
Okay.
turn off video. You'll just have to go with your that'll help
That will
conserve your
do it.
phone.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you. See, that's why you need a producer. All righty, let me just hit okay, let me hit later and let me get to where it'll let me change it, and I'm going to get to just voice. I hit the microphone on, the TV, the camera off. Let's see. My
There you go.
micro.
There you go.
Okay. All right, it's dying, and okay, I'm trying to get the video off, and it's not. There it is. Okay, there we got it off. Now, hopefully, we'll be able to stay online.
Okay, so we're not going to be on video, just totally on audio.
You're on video, and I got 13 on my phone, and hopefully, just talking will not decrease my phone because if for some reason, and those are on watching us live, I'm having a problem with my phone dying quicker on me than expected. So I have CeCe on audio, and we're hoping the phone won't die. If it does, we'll bring CeCe back. All right. So I just want to let you know who are watching, like what's going on here, because you may not be able to see what I'm doing on the phone with Skype, so we can bring CeCe on. All right, well, go ahead, because I don't want to waste the time.
Okay, no worries. I mean, well, again, I'm CeCe Shatz. I'm with Going Solo Network. We've been established for quite some time now. We started with a local group here in the Tampa Bay area, and now we have grown to a more national site, which is Going Solo Network and Going Solo Next Step, excuse me. And we are broadening out into establishing our own dating site because, again, we feel that in order to be able to make that transition into your life that you choose, you need a little help along the way. And so I think that's what's lacking in a lot of the dating sites out there. So, yeah. We keep and support singles wherever they're at with whatever relationship growth they're in. And we're excited to do that.
Well, I think that's great. I know you're one of the few radio stations out there that actually focuses on all aspects of single parenting in life.
Yes, I believe we are, and I've been told we're number one with regards to the Internet Singles Talk Network, where our station is completely talk. We are going to broaden out and do a quick little show that's going to bring in some music that we can relate to, but it's also going to have talk along with it. So we are geared towards helping singles make that transition that they need to make that's going to better their lives and really home in on their core values, their core beliefs, and really fine tune on who they are. Because so often when you're in a long-term relationship, you kind of lose yourself. You blend, you connect with your partner, and you lose a part of you. So when you're divorcing, then you're starting to think, oh my gosh, I don't even know what I like anymore. I mean, what really makes me happy? I've been doing things that make us as a unit move forward in our lives. Now I only have me to think about. So what does make me tick? What does make me joyful? And so those are the kind of issues that we want to bring forward and really embrace singles. And then, of course, with you touch on the single parenting. That is so vital, because here's the thing is when we get divorced, no matter what we are a family unit, right? So it doesn't matter if we have little children, babies, teenagers, or even adult children. It affects all our lives as a family unit. Our family is now divided somewhat, but we are still a family. So how do we, as a family, start redefining our relationships, redefining our lives, and making ourselves whole again so that we can move forward in a more positive way. And so we want to embrace the positive and really shun off the negative that it takes with divorce. We want to still keep the family unit intact and be respectful and honor one another as human beings. And so, we try to connect our singles to do that. And I think we've been pretty doggone good about it. So I'm really happy with it.
Well, I want to congratulate you on what you've done, because there's a lot of people out there addressing single parenting and the various issues, but doesn't mean that that particular group is right for you. So it's really like reaching out to all the different groups. Like, I want to bring on the fact that, for those who don't know it, I have the National Single Parent Resource Center. It was founded as a nonprofit in '94, and I've actually seen the entire process of what happens to our children and what you need to do going through that divorce process to be able to reach to where CeCe's at and helping you get past it and achieving a whole new life out there.
Yeah, it's amazing all that's happening in today's world. And so, years ago we didn't have internet, and so a lot of those that are divorcing now, they're really embracing this new world of social media. And then our youth, our children, they are also having to deal with social media and all of the things that are coming about with that. So there are many, just numerous topics with regards to, trying to really develop your life the way you want it to be. And so we as adults need to really home in and really develop our lives the way we want, in a whole fashion, and what I mean by that is really being whole within ourselves, being uplifting, positive, doing good things for other people, really standing out, checking off all the boxes. Because when we do that, guess what? Our youth does it too. Our children do it too. They follow us. So we want to be good role models, even through the difficult times in our lives. And so when we can do that, our kids are really amazed at, as they get older, they start to become, of course, understanding, gosh, mom and dad really went through it, but we got through it as a family unit. And I think that's very, very important.
Well, I want to congratulate you that you've been able to work that out together, because I can see, as my children are grown, my daughter is a single parent of twin girls. And because of her and what she went through herself, she's doing everything that she can to counteract with the challenges and situations that we faced. And what was key, and I have to say that it's real important, and I'm not trying to tap myself on the back, but it's real important as parents, is that we role model to our children at all ages, and even when they're adults and we're older and like seniors, is that the point of working together with the other parent and the other family and accepting what they are and doing the best job of what you can in parenting as a single parent with the other family, because then they are not as likely to want to cut off the other parent or do the parental alienation and really hurt their children, because they understand what it was like and what it did to their life and what they have had to go through to build and heal their own life. So I think what you're saying and doing is great.
Yeah, I totally agree. The thing is I think as parents, we have to gut it up. We have to be real about whatever decisions we make as a couple. We have to gut it up as parents to be the best parents that we can be. And I remember telling my daughter one time, I said, she was complaining about, me being a mom and whatever and doing different things as kids do. I mean, nothing unusual out of the norm, as I remember doing it with my mom. And I remember her saying, you didn't come with, a manual. I don't really know all the answers of being the best parent. But what I can tell you is that I'm going to try to be the best parent I can possibly be. And so cut me some slack. And so when I said that to her as a teenager, she really stepped back and thought, that's true. You got to give mom a little bit of a slack. And so I think we have to give ourselves a little bit of a slack as parents. we have to understand that kids today, probably over 50% going through school are from families of divorce. I mean, most people I hate to say it, the divorce rate is just tremendous out there. And, even as we get older, our adult children are shocked by the fact that now mom and dad are divorcing when they thought they were going to move on in their senior years. So there's just a lot of transition going around. But I think we as parents need to gut it up, and we need to understand that our priority has to always be in the best interest of our child. So wherever we determine, like for instance, when there was a determination of where he was going to live, my attitude was he's got to live somewhere. So what we try to do is figure out the best avenue for him. If he went with my ex, he went to private school. If he stayed with me, he wouldn't get that. So what kind of mom would I be not to allow my son to have private school opportunity? You got to do the best that you can do for your son. So you got, or your child, you got to gut it up and do what is good for them. And I think when you do that and you start making those kind of transitions, it's the wheel. The wheel keeps moving. It keeps generating, and positive things happens from it. If we stay within the environment of a negative, I'm going to just screw you and divorce and do everything possible, I'm going to take the kids and use them against you, that is going to backfire. You're going to feel every bit of that recourse as you move forward in your life. Your children are going to not respect you. There's going to be havoc within your environment. So you stand nothing to gain by that. Absolutely nothing. And if you're looking at it from a material standpoint where you think you're going to get a couple bucks, emotionally, you're going to pay tenfold for those kind of decisions. So as a unit, and as a parent unit, you have to always be focused on what's best for your children. Put the other stuff aside, it might be easier to say than done, but we try to do it as parents because we try to take the high road. We want our kids to see us in an environment that is upstanding, that they can look up to. And yeah, it's tough at times, totally.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, I think we've come to the best point ever, what you're saying and stressing, because I do the same thing. And it's really all about best interest, working together, letting go of the anger, and coming together even as senior single parents, because you're always a single parent if you're not with, actually, once you become a single parent, you're always a single parent, and there are always going to be things coming up when you are seniors and your children are still around. So, CeCe, I want to thank you so much for coming on the Ask Coach Judy show today and sharing your wisdom about single parenting. Could you just let our listeners and those who are watching the show know exactly how they can reach you? For those who have been through the divorce process or the family court process and ready to move on, CeCe is the place you want to go. So let people know where they can reach you.
I certainly will. One last thing, I think it's so vital that single parents out there connect with a group such as yourself, your group, Judy, or another group out there that can support them through the transition that they're making. And so if anyone wants to connect with me, again, my name is CeCe Shatz. Our radio station is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We're an internet-based radio station. You can find us right on Facebook or YouTube. We also have our site, which is called goingsolonetwork.com. Everything is on there. If you want to join us on the divorce transition and the dating transition site, that is called goingsolonextstep.com. And then we're going to be launching this brand new dating site, which is datetherightone.com. So we'd love to have you join us on anything, and we want to support you. Judy, we want to support organizations like yours that are, moving and shaking and really embracing people and helping them move through to living their best life. And that's truly what it's all about.
Well, I thank you for that, because, as you know and I know, when you're working your passion and you're helping people, your life is just so uplifting all the time, because you're making a difference. Even though we may have our down days, we know that we are doing something and touching and changing the future of our country by helping the parents be and work in the best interest of their children of all ages. So I thank
Yes.
you so much. And if you'd
You're
like, you
quite
can stay on. I
welcome.
just want Oh, thank you. And I want to just, if you'd like to stay on for a couple moments, I just want to do a little promo here so that people know what we're doing so we can help raise money for the National Single Parent Resource Center. I want people to know that when we begin charging and having guests on the show who make a donation to the National Single Parent Resource Center, that you are going to be making a difference. You will help us to bring on other guests and other great people and information. And one of the things that we're doing to help raise money for the National Single Parent Resource, and I'm going to put the book on Facebook Live right now because it's called by Steve Olsher, who is our guest. He's the reinvention guy in the country. His book that he has donated for our raffle and fundraiser is What is Your What? Discover the one amazing thing you were born to do. And that's also part of what you need to do so that you can work in the best interest of the children. You can grow your business, achieve success, and feel happy even when times are tough because you've got the tools to keep you going. So I'm going to say if you could please go to CoachJudy.info or www.coachjudy.info and sign up with us and fill out the form. Your name and number will be entered on a raffle ticket that I have. And that's complimentary one. Now, if you want to increase your chances to receive this book and really help yourself and others by what you read and sharing with others, then please help support the National Single Parent Resource Center, because we want to do programs that parents cannot afford and we have to turn them down or send them to somebody else, but I know they're not going to get what like CeCe and myself can offer them. So please go to the Coach Judy website and click on nonprofit. Again, it's www.coachjudy.info. Click on the nonprofit site. You will get the link that takes you right to PayPal and our website for National Single Parent Resource Center. And every $2 you donate, you get an extra ticket. You give us $5 or donate $5, you've got two. And maybe, you know, if it starts going, I'll even throw an extra, a third or fourth ticket in with it. So get involved, support single parents, although we're not a disease. It causes diseases, it causes mental illness, it causes unemployment, and it also hurts the children. But if you can support organizations like the National Single Parent Resource Center, we can reduce the damage that can be done to our children as well as to the parents and reduce the suffering and the anguish and the dependency on the government system, because they don't have the money and they don't have the support and they don't have the mental health because it's changed from the stress. They didn't get the help they needed to cope dealing with and going through the family court, which is the most stressful part of it, which is our area. Well, guess what? You're going to see the continuous increase of mental illness, drug addiction, and so on, just like you do from those who are from two-parent families, because they lead into the other issues that you are willing to support without a doubt. So please consider supporting the National Single Parent Resource Center so we can help reduce the amount of people that are ending up in addiction or even on the court system, as well as on the government needs of government programs for funding, because if they've got the right tools, they have a greater chance of succeeding and supporting themselves and their children rather than having to become dependent. Because another aspect of it is if you don't have the tools to cope, when you become a senior, you are then very dependent on the government system, and it's something that nobody really wants to have. So I do suggest that you consider donating. I'm going to give you my website again. It's www.coachjudy.info. It also has the information because I've expanded my coaching to anyone who wants to achieve success, whether it's in their personal life whether it's in their business, because we've expanded on other services. We are also going to be having an affiliate directory so that we have additional resources that you can go to, whether it's a business issue, whether it's a personal issue, whether it is you want to get ahead and find out who you are and go out and achieve it. We're going to have the resources for you by them being guests or making a donation to the National Single Parent Resource Center. So we are offering a lot, and with our association with CeCe, we're helping you in all different ways. So again, consider donating. And also I want to thank all of those on Facebook who've tuned in for a little bit of time to watch our show. We are going to re-air it and do a watch party so you can watch the dynamic information that came from business, finding who you are on the inside and going for it, to addressing the kind of issues that single parent families face and what you need to do to have the best success in life, whether you're a parent, single parent, or even single, because many singles end up marrying single parents, or your family or friends may be single parents. So single parenting touches everybody. So all I can say is give support, give a smile, ask how they're doing, and let them know you've got two organizations here and entities that really care and look to really help the single parents. And again, I just want to show you the book for the raffle. Here's the book with Steve Olsher, our previous guest. And thank you so much for listening, and we'll be on once again. And again, this is the Ask Coach Judy show for getting you the facts so you can act and achieve success, whatever it may be. And Coach Judy is here to help you on a one-on-one to reach those goals. Thank you so much and have a great week. Bye.
Bye.